should start here as we're going. My name is Tony Azzi, Mario Rubino. We are business partners, and we are proposing.
Can I just ask a question? Are you taking this today?
Yes, we are taking here.
And I think you should let us know that.
Same with the gentleman there.
Okay, no problem. We are recording this, and I'm assuming you are aware that the gentleman here is recording.
I'm recording on behalf of Kinsman Court.
No problem.
There you go. Thank you.
If anyone wants to revoke their consent to recording.
You'll have to speak up.
No problem.
Right.
All right, we can do that as well. So I thank everybody for coming here, taking time out of your afternoons, evenings for showing up. We are delighted to show you this design. We also understand you have concerns, you have comments, you have objections to it. So we want to use this as an early opportunity to discuss these comments, these concerns with you. Any misconceptions you may have, or any conceptions you may have of the development as well. So now is the time to bring them forward to us so we can answer them to you. Obviously, you are at liberty to not bring them forward. What we are proposing is a 4-story, 24-unit residential development off of Highway 20, wherein cars would enter and leave off of Highway 20. I can see how this is misleading the service access. This service access is actually blocked off to cars going in and out of Highway 20. Okay? You cannot enter or exit through here. This will be fenced off. There will be a gate here, and there will be the opening of the easement so that this public walkway, this easement, will be completely redone to access Highway 20 off the easement. This actually is an earth bin / moloch. I know this notion, the misconception of garbage was really a big issue here, garbage pickup. This is actually a moloch, so what we do is we dig them into the ground. Mario done several of these. And a truck comes with a crane about twice a month. That's the estimate they've given us for the residential capacity here. About twice a month. And they spend about 10 minutes with a crane. They load it up, they pick it up, and then they go about their way. It's sealed, it's clean, it doesn't emit any odors. I can provide you with the websites for the recycling earth bins, the garbage earth bins as well for your reference. This here will remain an easement. In fact, it's not necessarily a public walkway easement according to the town, to their bylaws. This is actually a utilities easement. What that means is it is specifically designed for their underground utilities, particularly storm. What we're doing is we've already developed a 100-year storm plan. Mario, maybe you can speak to that a little more, the civil servicing plan to capture any water runoffs. Actually, it's an improvement on what's here right now, because right now this is uneven. Some of it flows back. We understand we've seen pooling here, we've seen pooling here. So the civil, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Mario?
Yeah. So it'll be all corrected with the plan itself. Everything's with a 100-year storm, but there's also a storm scepter on site which collects all the water. So all the site is collected into a storm scepter, and then storm scepters run right through the storm sewer itself. So no runoff will be coming onto anybody's property. Nothing will be coming off onto Highway 20 with respect to either the sidewalk or maybe just the ramp. So it's pretty simple, but it's also the construction laws that we have to follow and abide by, which is fair.
It's important to note that we maintain the landscape buffer here. I understand, we know there's an older fence here. We will be taking down that fence and replacing it with a newer fence. We're also going to be planting a landscaping here and here as well. And obviously any damage that's done to this property here, I don't believe we will be abutting here. As far as landscaping goes, we will correct the plan with landscaping as well. This is an opportunity for you to ask us any questions.
The fence, where you have that service access, that big road from Kinsman Court, that is going to be blocked off by a fence.
Yes, I just don't know what kind of fence it
But
is.
it's a fence, in other words, people will not be able to go back and forth.
We can't prevent people from using this easement. Just as the town can't prevent you from using this easement over here.
going from Kinsman Court Circle, taking that pathway and walk here. It's easier if I show with my
No problem.
finger. And then nobody's gonna be able to come from here, take a walk across here, go like that. That's what I want to know.
Yes, you can still, we have to keep this easement open.
So it's not gonna be fenced off here.
This part here will be fenced off.
This area right here.
Yes.
Here, yeah.
This is the green area,
But this will be open, people can come in and go.
just as a walkway.
It's insufficient to allow a car to access this service.
Did you say there was a lock on the gate?
No, I didn't say that.
Is there only a gate?
No. Again, the details of the gate have yet to be specified.
It'll be
How
up
you
to-
take your,
It'll be up to the person retrieving the garbage, so whoever we sign the contract with the garbage, they'll be putting their own security on them as well. So, because they need to access, not something they're gonna be able to just drive right over. This needs access, and this is the only access that the town has required to put in. So everything we've done here is according to what the town has asked us. But this will remain as an open walk, and that again is on the city itself and the town of Pelham.
Do you have someone here from the town? Did you bring someone with you?
no.
If I put up a fence there, would you take it down?
If I put up a fence.
If I put up a fence there.
What you choose to do after we leave is up to you guys. But I'm not, if you put up a fence, Mario.
I've put up fences and people have taken them back down. You're more than free to put up the fence. I can tell you one thing, it won't be Tony or I taking it down.
When you put this building up, your sewer system is not going to connect into the same system that's on Kinsman Court now. Your sewer, where will it go? Onto 20 Highway?
Right.
Yeah.
Highway,
So it's-
yeah. Highway.
I think there's just one service that goes to the back, and I think that was at the water. There was one service that was going to the back, and we had no choice to tie, and that was on the city itself because of pressure. So this here, there's a lot of work going on, like you saw what happened on, what do you call it here, on Pelham Road.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's gone north. Also, new water mains going in on Station Street. The water here is getting upgraded, and there's a lot of new upgrades coming to you guys, which is beneficial for pressure and whatnot. But I believe one service does go out the back, but it's just capacity and it has to go where they tell us to go. So,
Well, that's just runoff water, not sewage
no, sewage is all coming out the front.
coming out.
I think, correct me, I'm not sure, I'm not 100%, it's either water or storm going back.
Because if the size of the sewer system on Kinsman Court was just put in for the 26 units, and then you're connecting into it with another 24.
I understand, and that I told us, so sewer capacity and water main capacity, all that is always on the city. The city tells us where we can connect. So if they feel the capacity is there, then they allow us to connect. So realistically, it's all sewer capacities, sanitary, storm, and water, all comes from the city. They tell us where we can and cannot go. So it's not like we're choosing to come to you, because anything up to me, I always like going forward. All right, so I know there's going to be quite a few road cuts on Highway 20, and I believe there's also access stuff that we have to abide by.
On the sewer, Highway 20.
And then
So there's gonna be about a couple of weeks here.
See, 20 Highway is not a city road, it's a regional
It's a
road.
regional road, yes, absolutely.
So that's who has to give you the okay as a region.
And they have, yes.
And they have,
They
correct.
have.
So we've been in touch with the region. We basically told them, where would you like us to connect on Highway 20? There are a couple of points. And they told us, connect at this point. We said, no problem, put it on the drawing, moved on. Knowing the intent that Kinsman Court, we want to keep it as least invasive as possible for the residents. Because it's not that much capacity off Kinsman Court.
Our goal is to go from the back to the front, and that's what we focus on. If there's any disturbances off the back, like this little portion here, that's an easement that belongs to the town, not us. We have no control over that. And this opening here is the same. It's green space. put a gate or something, I don't know. It's something that we can look, look into it for us and for you and whatnot, or maybe you can, bring the questions up yourself. I think there's a meeting on 13th. Yeah. That's something that, bring up, and we're willing to work with people. So, is aesthetic-wise, we're always trying to make it look fresh, clean, not dated, something that's going to carry for a long time. And this is what's happening pretty much everywhere in, Hamilton, Toronto, Niagara Falls is, I think they're even ahead of us a little bit more with a lot more glass, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep aesthetically, to keep it, the neighbors happy, because I know you're going to have to look at it. It's happened to me. I've lived it where I've had 30, 40 people living in my area for the longest time. 20 years later, I've got 3,700 houses around me, and now they're putting up another 1,800 unit condo building just around the corner. Right? So now I'm a Fonthill resident, and I love it here.
Once you start this project, will it be completed in a timely manner?
Yes.
Like, it's not going to take 5 years, you dig a hole and then it's going to sit.
It is. In 5 years, it'll put anybody in bankruptcy. So the faster you build it, the faster you get it paid and put it up. So
We wouldn't be here if it's going to take 5
How many
years.
parking
We would-
spaces?
Yeah, we're going to have 26. 28, sorry. 28.
So what if they have 2 cars, or they have visitors, where are they going to park? That's right.
So there's 4 visitor parkings. Ultimately, if they have 2 cars, they're going to make that decision before they move in to a complex like this. You got bedroom sizes from 500 square feet to 900 square feet. In townhome developments that we build, we notice a lot of the people who move in, some of them are young professionals, some of them are empty nesters, retired. There's a shared car among them. The walkability here leads us to believe that you're going to have less car usage and more walking towards the amenities in Fonthill.
these condos nowadays, or even the towns that we built, are geared to more stay at home, kind of work at home. And I think the primary age group is 50s plus, which is people coming off of their jobs and semi-retiring and then retiring, and they don't want to cut the grass anymore. So that was the target for us, and that was the target on the last project we did, and that's what we got.
2 stories. We had 82-year-old and 80-year-old couple that moved in there, 71-year-old couple, 60-year-old couples that
Just had a 78-year-old gentleman who bought my unit. They all left and came down, and that's what they want. They want no maintenance, no free, free. They need access across the road. You have food, you have restaurants, and that's what we're gearing to. Comfort.
Is the ground level units apartments also, or?
No.
They're
It's a lobby on the ground.
Just a lobby on the ground.
No
just a
commercial.
lobby, but it's not commercial.
No commercial on the ground floor. No.
We didn't want any commercial on the ground because there's so much over here, and commercial just brings more traffic,
It's so good.
and we didn't want that.
You said there's going to be a gate at the end of that,
For here, yes.
and so you're going to cut the trees down that are in front of the fence.
Yeah, so we try to be as least invasive with how many trees we take down. Ultimately, though, those trees are on town property, so when the town goes to upgrade this, they are going to take those trees down. And we couldn't get an answer from the town of when they plan to upgrade them. We pushed them hard.
Okay, you don't show on your diagram my driveway that comes up the end of that circle.
You're here?
Here.
Or here?
Side.
Right here? Sarah?
Yeah, 24, 26, or just on the other side of that fence.
In this area?
So our driveway will still do that circle just about where you are.
Like
The entrance where the gateway is.
Garbage truck is gonna drive through the gate into your property, pick up the stuff.
It won't drive into the
They
property.
won't drive in.
It'll drive to the property,
They crane it out.
crane it in, and then drive back.
The access is there just for service eventually if they need to do
So what's the
service.
purpose of the gate?
What's the purpose of this
For
gate?
future service if they need to get in and service.
And so you don't-
This is a buried unit. You won't even see it. And that was to keep odors and everything else and nice and clean and keep it as sleek as we can.
So
You know, last
every
thing you want to see is
contractor
garbage
that's
bins out
got
back.
time will be using it.
Every contractor is delivery people and all that, they're not accessing?
No, they can't access this. No, there's no way for them to enter through here. They have to enter through Highway 20. There's no way a car will fit through here. I'm not sure why somebody would want to park here, walk in all the way around, go through here, and then just come in off Highway 20. Drop off at
This
the-
will definitely be this will be monitored by the town itself, no RVs there.
I'm a little worried about, bleacher, the amount of snow in that road, section right in front of their entryway. How do you handle that? You drive onto my property now?
Who does that, the city?
Is
The
it
town
private?
does it?
Yes.
Snow plow?
Yes.
Then the town will have to take care of this as well. That won't be on us or anyone else. Again, if they block the access and, you know, our garbage guys can't pick up, then we'll have to assist them to get it.
Excuse me, I see balcony units. Are there going to be balcony units on the rear of the building on Kinsman Court? And will they be looking into our gardens,
To our backyards.
into our backyards?
When I'm sunbathing, they can see right in my backyard.
If you want to propose to the town to remove the balconies, we're more than happy to remove the balconies.
Absolutely.
We were pressured to add the balconies. We're more than happy to take them out. On June 13th, if that's the point that you want to bring, I'm not going to be the one to bring it because I've already brought it forward, and I got shot down, but if you want to bring that forward,
That's a negotiating tool that you want to help us with, I'd be happy to take it.
Oh, there are 5 trees out there, are you taking them all down? 'Cause I planted 2 of them.
I tell you what I will do for you.
On the intersect, the 2 Austrian pine.
Anything that's near or around you, because we do the actual construction ourselves, I will transplant them for you.
30 feet
How
high.
big are they?
30 feet high,
What are they?
Austrian pine.
And they're home to many birds.
They're all though.
They're off to one side from the big trees.
Are they on the property line on your side or are they on?
They're on 6.
It depends where we're at. If it comes to that point, one thing I can honestly tell you, I love trees. Okay, and I'll do everything I can to save them. So I do have Zeraldo, I don't know if you know who he is, but he transplants for me all the time. If they're good trees,
worst case scenario, Mario, is we can give them basically, so long as the residents here don't object, we can just ignore this.
yeah, so we're willing to work with you. You know, we're going to stay here. We're not going anywhere. I'm a resident, and the last thing I want to do is you guys yell at me at movies or something. So anything when it comes to landscaping, to fencing, permeable bed, like people are going to see no matter what. But when we plant those trees back there, I understand the privacy. I live on station 1465, Unit 18. Everybody knows my dog Thule. I got the German Shepherd in the backyard.
And unit.
Yes.
Don't care.
There you go. So yes, I know she barks, I'm sorry. But I've lived it and I get it. So I put up some trees, try to get some privacy myself. And it's nice everybody says hi and trying to eat dinner and I got 300 people going by looking, right? So we do our best. Now I've had that feeling. We'll do the same. Try to mitigate. And if you guys don't want those balconies, you're helping us, which is thank you. So,
Yes,
I can say I'm currently living in the units that they've built, the townhouses across from Sobeys. So I don't know, for what it's worth, I can say that I've come to them
thanks for
with,
coming, by the way.
yeah, I've come to them with very random things because it's just me and the kids, and they've done stuff just for me, just because they're still around and they're nice. For example, just recently, there's a bird's nest. I know I've heard people say they love birds. Birds creep me out. Tony shows up. He's helping me relocate birds. That's not his job, but he's there and he's helping. So all I know is that everything that I've asked, over and above, they've gone to help me in my unit. So that's what I can say about them as people and builders. I've had no issues with mine. It's been great. So if that makes anybody feel any better, they don't just disappear. They just keep helping. So.
When are you intending to start this project?
it all depends on the town and the approvals.
It
So
depends
the
on how
moment
many
they get
objections.
to go ahead. Yeah. It all depends on the amount of objections today.
But if all goes well, ideally, I never like to give dates because when it comes to, these days, the town is overloaded with applications. If all goes well, it should be a fall start, but do not hold me to that, please, because things are taking longer than usual nowadays to turn around?
The pandemic has really turned the whole construction industry. Supply chains are just increasingly getting slower. Nothing's caught up yet, and I think most of those changes won't get caught up till next year. Our hope was to start prior to winter, because in the winter, less disturbance to the neighbors in our part. Once we get that roof on, come springtime, you guys are outside and doing your gardening work. Last thing you want is, heavy construction happening, right? So we do the best we can to try to get as fast, the construction as fast as we can. But we're always at the mercy of the town.
Sorry, to the gentleman who asked the question about the balconies, would you want me to show you an alternative design without the balconies?
No,
Okay.
I can picture it without.
Because we already have one without the balcony.
No, I can picture it without, but
We already went forward
it's a concern.
Okay, we already tried that one.
My other concern is during the construction phase, where are all your dump trucks and machinery trucks going to be loading into the lot?
Out to the front.
Highway 20.
All the Highway 20. I would never disturb going in the residential area. There are laws for heavy trucks. Believe me, I've done a ton of work on this area over the years, and even with our other project, everything, the shortest point to try to get on the main highway so we can get out. That is actually a financial thing on my end, so we try to make it as cheap as we can. The last thing I want to do is interrupt neighbors in the backyard and yelling at truck. Biggest key for me is safety. A lot of kids, and we have a big dig coming up just down the street. Same thing. Wherever the town and the region allows us to go in and out, and we fight them to do it. And everything I do is based on safety. So there is going to be that sidewalk. We're going to have to close a section of the sidewalk to make it safe so people don't walk across. And you never know, somebody might pop up with a dog. I have one, I get it. Sometimes she takes off like a rocket.
And I'll tell you guys right now, over the course of 18 months, however long it'll take us, 16 months, 14 months, you're going to inevitably get somebody in a truck to park there. And if that's the case, feel free to tell them. We will tell them first. In case we miss it, you can feel free to tell them. If they don't, then you talk to us, and we tell them to not park their car anymore, or they don't come to site. So we've had this problem before. We remedy right away for other developments, other projects, and we take care of it right away. But if there's a truck parking there, you tell them, or you tell us, and we'll take care of it.
Like your property is higher than the sidewalk right now,
Correct.
20 highway. Are you going to lower everything down?
Everything is approved by the town, so
Yeah.
I believe we have to go to the highest point. We will come down a little bit, but we have to watch our drainage. So in order for our drainage to work properly and to be able to keep it, it's called ponding on site. In order for us to do that, we have to kind of level it off. So we are going to be a little bit higher on the one side, and we're probably going to be, let's say, flush with the sidewalk on the higher end. So there's quite a bit of a degree of slope, and we have to follow it. We're going to try to keep it high, but we have to make it so cars can get in and out as well. So everything that we do is at the minimum. And not in the minimum of workmanship, but I mean at the minimum of grades and faults. There's what happens is in this back section here, and here, there'll be a huge tank. What they do is we build baskets and it's a water retention. And then we release it releases really slow with an orifice plate. So this way here, if any water goes anywhere, it stays on site. So you'll see the parking lot's doing a lot of sloping. And if you notice lately any new development that you go, and if you don't notice it, when you go to a new development, you'll start seeing big dips in parking lots, and that's what that is. Okay, there's underground tanks, and that's everything. That's one of the reasons why that garbage goes back here. The baskets are going to fill quite an area, and you can't put heavy trucks on it. And that is not just a town thing. That's an Ontario, an Ontario law for drainage. Drainage is very important to the cities and towns. Fresh water, dirty water, clean water, recycling water, and that's what we're doing the best we can with.
Yes, sir. Good? Okay, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
I wanted to ask you a couple of clarifying things. You've been talking about that access from Kinsman Court to the garbage collection place. It isn't just the fact that that truck will come in there, that we may not be able to do anything about it. But one of the concerns we have is that when you're gone, this could become a parking lot, the street, because you only are planning for 4 visitor parking spaces. So when the visitor parking spaces are full, where do the people park? They can get through there, can't they? They can walk, I mean, it's a fair distance, but they can walk. And is there anything that we can do that you can think of so that Kinsman Court does not become a parking lot after you've left?
Is it possible to put a combination lock on that gate that only us residents have?
Do you want me to find that out for you?
It's just a point, it's a question,
For
yeah.
this area here,
Yeah.
You can look around the
I
gate.
can almost guarantee
Yeah.
you right now, there's gonna be a padlock on it.
Yeah. This.
So then how do we get through?
There'll have to be a padlock.
Well, then how do we get through?
This area here is gonna be open for walking.
Okay.
That is the green space, you know, that belongs to the town, so that's an easement. We can't even touch it.
I'm just wondering, Mario, if you put a swing gate there, so that the truck will swing gate, enter the site, and swing gate close.
An option.
Yeah.
Again, that is something we have to bring to the town, because we can't allow it, they'll have to approve it.
So what's the answer for the previous question for 4 parking spots for?
Yeah.
Right,
They're gonna
so
park.
one of my ideas is put a swing gate here, so that way they can't access Kinsman Court. That said, this is an easement
They
though,
can
so
still
we
walk.
don't have authority, we don't have say over what we can put on this land here. We can put up as many no parking signs as we want and as you want on there, but it's a very valid question of how you police people from parking on Kinsman Court.
Put a bunch of stickers on their windshields that don't come off quite easy, believe me, they'll get it quick. It's happened to me a few times.
And I would assume, and it's a valid question, I would assume that it's going to have to be by deterrence. They park there the first time, call, tag, towed, gone. Second time, tag, towed, gone. That's it.
What about our
That's
visitors?
just the precedent.
You're not allowed.
There's kind
You can't have
of normal,
visitors.
There's the farmer's market, there's festivals, there's the museum.
Correct.
Town center, if people come to parking. We're close enough for that, I can see people parking there, going through the easement, trying to.
Yeah, that's a
I
valid
can't stop that. I can't stop that because, I mean, they park there now. I would believe it would deter a few more people from parking because now you have a construct there. We've always kind of allowed the town to let people park there or even encourage people to park on our property when it was vacant. That's not something that we will allow because it will be a private residential area. But I can't, if they're having an event here, I can't deter people from parking here, anywhere there's an open space. It's going to happen.
Well, the only thing we can do is enforce our end with our tenants that are coming in there that, you know, one vehicle, that's it.
And generally, Amber will tell you this too. In private developments, the people that live there take pride in living there. So, because they want what's best for their property value, they want what's best for their condominium corporation. So they're not going to necessarily allow for disorder. And they generally do a good job of policing, and there's a property manager as well, a licensed property manager who will enforce these regulations. And he'll continuously remind the residents via the board, for the residents that you can't do this, you can do this, you can't do that, we're changing this rule, you can't park here, you won't park here. So it's a self-policing entity.
They will all have a dedicated parking spot for themselves, period.
We're not talking so much about your tenants
Yeah.
as we are talking about visitors who can't find a parking space on site because there are only 4 designated visitor spots. And the concern is that they will discover, I won't find one on your site. I'm going around by Kinsman Court and I'm going to park wherever I can. And there are no parking signs on the street. That's the concern, because if they park on our street, they have access. You've said
You
there's
don't have
nothing.
any no parking signs on your court?
No.
Did you ever?
Yeah, but they all like visitors too. They all like
That's
that
right.
family.
We have family come over.
So they
Our-
don't want to put up no parking signs just to keep your fucking assholes out. Like, what is this about? Like,
If you
how
can
do
kindly
you stop
refrain
these people
from
that from having
swearing,
visitors?
please, if you don't mind.
Our bylaw officer won't allow a no parking sign.
From that.
Keep it, I know you're front.
But I mean, how are you gonna stop those people?
You can't stop
can't.
anybody from doing anything. You have an issue when there's already a festival out there, and how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it then?
It's not a.
How am I gonna
Any
deal with
difference.
the water
The
that
difference-
comes down to
hang on
my
a second. The
backyard and
difference
this
here-
thing's filled
The
with water?
difference here is that these guys they can park across the street at the Shoppers Drug Mart and whatnot.
They could be probably towed away, they're not gonna be allowed.
That's not gonna
They're not
last.
gonna be allowed.
Park over there.
Once that
But
condo
just-
goes up
I'm
there,
the owner
they're
of
not
that
gonna allow
mall
it.
here, and so she's
I
Frank.
understand, but there's
don't understand.
just as likely
For the
as
money.
a chance for them to be towed away on your property as
What
well.
about the money?
No,
It
they're
is
not.
private property. They
All my
can't,
life,
actually,
my
it's
mind
public
is-
property, and there's no parking allowed there. So they can be towed away just as easily there. That is a public property. This is not private. This is
Yeah,
not.
that's not, the access is not what I was talking about. It's the court
Our court,
itself.
it's a no exit, very quiet court.
You would
So
know
what
that
you're
I
asking
would
for is
too.
if they cut the access off, so
Yeah.
nobody can get.
Exactly, put a
It's
fence right
realistically
across.
what you're asking for, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
I can't do anything about it, but what I will do is we'll advocate for that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Because
I really do,
technically,
because I don't like people, Amber, you've seen it, where people just come and park and they park alongside of my unit and I'd have
Yeah.
5, 6 cars. I had the same thing.
I
And I would just
think
go, I would kindly
want
just
no
go there,
exit
drop
at
a
the
note.
back.
I think for my purposes, you clarified that anybody who walks on the public access from Kinsman Court can do that. That's fine, I just wanted to know that.
technically, this is not a public walkway. Technically, this is a utilities easement. So you do actually have a stronger case as residents, and we're happy to abide by this. To block this off to the public, because it's not a public, the director of engineering at the town, the head of engineering at the town, said this in our meetings with everybody at the town. This is a utilities easement
It's an
Okay.
easement
for
only.
the underground.
That's
Okay.
helpful for you to clarify that. We'll probably bring that up when we get to the,
And we're more than happy to put, this
We
is,
can continue that fence.
we can continue
Right
this fence
across.
all the way back.
Okay.
That's perfectly, we can put a gate here so that this collection comes up,
I know.
opens the gate. Oh, we can put a padlock, give them the combination, that's fine. But this is not a public walkway.
okay.
For legal purposes, and you can review it, I'm sure we can find the bylaw. It's not a public walkway, it is a utilities easement.
Okay.
I don't know what the easement laws are insofar as access to the public, I don't know how that works.
Well, for me, that clarifies it because there is no way, unless we block it off somehow with the approval of the town, that people can't walk through that easement. And the other question that I had is, having talked to some of the people in the planning department, how are people going to, your new tenants, starting with your new tenants, how are they going to bring their furnishings onto the property? My understanding is that the building cantilevers over the entrance,
Correct.
and only a small moving truck can get in there.
Correct.
Then you have people having furniture delivered, new appliances delivered.
Correct.
How do they get there with the fact that there isn't much room?
It's a 9-foot clearance.
What then?
It's a 9-foot clearance from here. And every resident who moves in, as part of their, what's it called, conditions to their APS, I have to put a bunch of conditions in their APS. And one of the conditions is that for moving, for trucks, it has to clear the 9-foot clearance.
And that would be true for the appliance dealers that are delivering, and everybody else has to abide by.
It's a,
Because
yeah,
that's
it's
the
it's a
only way they
9-foot
have-
clearance. So, when I went to university, I went to university in Toronto, and I went to university in New York. When I moved in, they didn't care that they had to haul it across the street, or they know that they cannot park here. That's what matters. They can't park here. It doesn't matter how you get the appliances in. In cities, you're a lot more restricted where you can go. So it's the same process. As part of the conditions in the agreement of purchase and sale, or in the rental agreement, it's 1, 2, 3. Point number 4, moving truck cannot exceed height of 9 feet.
Well, that
Or
clarifies
appliance and
that.
delivery trucks cannot exceed height of 9 feet.
Okay, thanks. And lastly, you brought just something up that I've been wondering about since we heard about it. Are these condos or are they apartments, rental apartments?
Good question. So we're going to condominiumize them in that we're going to have individual titles for them. So it's not one title. Generally, when you build a rental, one title, you sell the whole building. What we're going to do is have them individual title, and the intent is to build them as high-end apartments. So they're not going to be entry-level apartments. high-end apartments. There's a severe rental supply, rental shortage in Fonthill. We want to move in the right kind of people in here. Mario, the one that you built, and how many people did you interview? You spent weeks interviewing tenants.
Probably a list of about 1,300 people for 84 units. Yes, and there are requirements, certain things when it comes to pets, to size of pets, to vehicles, and the rest of it. And again, we have a full capacity, never been empty from day one, and we do a really good search on everybody to make sure that we have a certain level, of persons. And the majority of our tenants are, again, in their 50s plus. Most of them either retired, single, and some of them still working from home, professionals.
But essentially, they'll be rental units. Like, people will rent them and they can then move out and somebody else will rent them? Is that correct?
Something we've been pondering, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And, so clearly then, only small vehicles will come in off Highway 20, and will they be able to go around the back of the building or whatever and turn around?
Yeah, so we show the turning radiuses here.
Okay.
This is to show the turning radiuses, right? Then, turning radius. Then, back, turning radius. We designed this specifically, well, it was requested by the town as well, how cars are going to get in and out. So this isn't our drawing, this is our architects who follow the Ontario Building Code.
Next to me here.
And the word small vehicles obviously is a relative term, right? Is it going to be a two-door Ford Fiesta, or is it a
I'm
RAV4?
talking about trucks mostly. Cars, regular cars will be able to
Right,
get in there.
correct.
Trucks and so forth won't, if they exceed a certain size. And my question is, if that truck will fit under that 9-foot, that 9-foot, have they the ability to go in, turn around and go back out again?
Yes, the U-Haul trucks do.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good question. The U-Haul trucks do. And so we've actually checked with U-Haul. And we gave that answer to the town, to the staff at the town as well.
So are you saying that that red semicircle is a driveway?
Correct.
Right there where you...
Here?
Yes.
Yeah, this is part of the driveway.
Okay, now, on the right-hand side, right where your finger is, what is that?
Oh, okay. So this is understanding that these cars are going to have to back up over the easement. They wanted us to show exactly like the overhang onto the easement when a car backs up into there. So we had to actually dedicate this space for the
Yeah, but it's the
overhang.
part that goes up towards the black square.
No, that's not here, that's a parking space. Yeah, so this is actually not even a parking spot, it kind of completes, come in and back in, and then they go out that way.
So
The
if you are,
trajectory of the car, how it will move.
right, so if you are parking in this space, the
I just
idea
wondered
is to
if
give
that's
you enough
going
space to
towards
come
an
in.
exit somewhere.
So the good thing is speaking to, what's your name, sir?
Pete,
Pete, all right. Here, so if you look at the back of the building from here to here, we're about, just over about 60%. So if it's 100 feet, it's 60 feet, for instance, right? So we've kept the building as forward as we can in order to keep just the parking. And the reason for a lot of this stuff that goes on back here is to make sure that you don't get the headlights. Okay? And this, if they're backing in, you get a little bit of car smell and fumes and stuff. But we're also putting charging stations here, hopefully to attract people with Teslas, right, or chargeable cars.
There will be charging stations.
What about the water? The water, what about the retaining wall?
The water from the retaining, where?
From the, going out of the site.
This is all curved. The whole entire site is curved. All the water stays inside, yeah.
Could you let us know, tell me again, what are the sizes of your units are in square meters?
Square feet.
What are they in square feet? What's the smallest unit?
Oh, you got the one in square meters? Is that how they did the metrics for you? Okay. So the smallest one is, I believe, 550, and the largest is up to about 980.
That's the largest, what, two-bedroom apartment? or-
It's two and
You said
extra.
723 and 909.
475 to 550.
909, there's one largest, 909.
One bedroom, 723, or square foot, I'm sorry, yes. 725 square feet and 980 81 square feet.
Okay, look at the one all the way in the corner. So that's the 980. And then there's one all the way on this side of the building. Right here. And it's in the 5s.
No. Your matrix just shows 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. Right there, you got it right in front of you. On the left.
Okay, so that's wrong.
Okay.
That's wrong.
That's the matrix
That's
right there.
Yeah, that's wrong. And if you wanted to look at the floor plan, I'm happy to show you the floor plans at a time. I know we've spent a lot of time agonizing over how to break them up. We know they're in a couple in the low 500s, 980, I was off by a foot, 981. And there's another one in the 910s, 920s as well. And then a couple in the middle at 700. So it goes 5, 7, 9. Yes, sir.
You have to apply your application to have 4 stories. It has to be economically viable to go that high. You can settle for 3 or just.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear the question.
Could we hear the question?
I asked him if he had to have 4 stories, if he would settle for 3 stories or 2 stories. And he's like, to make money, I gotta go 4, but the only buildings above 4, maybe the other side of the Meridian Center or
Right.
something in town and so on, they're not 4.
Good point.
So there's 3 buildings in the core area right now that are 4-story or destined for 4-story. We have the brewery, which is 4-story, the Butcher and Banker, which is approved for 4-story, and beside the, across from the grill on Pelham, that empty lot, that's approved for 4 stories at this time.
The most you'll probably see in Pelham right now are between 4 and 6. That'll be your average.
Gander readings to be 4, I think, on Colin.
There's 2 towers going on here, I think there's one.
Yeah, there's permits issued for hire.
Yeah, they're looking at his application for hire for some of these
He's a
places.
good builder, though.
But isn't your 4-story really a 5-story because you're already so high up?
No, they're actually shorter. So, not really. No, we're not building 10 or 11 or 12-foot ceilings. They're shorter ceilings, just to keep the height of the building short.
Now, what's the traffic going to be like, people getting in and out of there? I mean, it's already congested as it is, especially at 5 o'clock in the evening, people coming up Highway 20. People get in and out of there. Is that going to be a traffic safety?
Region has it in future in the next maybe 2 to 5 years where they're expanding the roadways. So you're going to start seeing 2 laneways on both sides.
Any chance of that ever becoming a safety concern and they come out the back and let the attendants come out the back into Kinsman Court?
Well, they'd have to come out.
Yeah, it's like, I want to make sure that they cannot come out the back.
They'll never
They
come
cannot
out the back.
drive through
Never.
this. Now, keep in mind, this is the road widening here. So we actually had to give up road to the region
Right.
for Highway 20 to account for a future road widening. I fought them on that one, and I
Okay.
lost. I've always lost that battle every time for different projects too. So we had to give up a significant amount of road because at some point, they took from us. When this person goes to build something else, they're going to take from them. And then they're just going to slowly take from a little bit of everybody until they have enough to do. And then eventually they'll just come in and take the rest. And they have enough for a road widening. So that road widening will happen. Sorry, Amber?
So I'm just wondering, all up that road is all commercial, like designated commercial technically, right? So
Highway
really,
20?
if somebody had
Yes.
owned that land and they wanted to throw in a KFC there, they could have, right?
Well, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
really, we could have ended up with another, and forgive me if people are loving it, but another generic strip mall or another fast food restaurant
Is
or
what we
whatever.
did.
But at least this is looking
I got
like
approached
it's
2
trying
years
to
ago.
do something. And no matter if they put in a KFC place, the traffic in and out of there would have been constant as opposed to somebody parking and leaving their
Yeah,
car.
and they wanted drive-through. I won't name the restaurant, but it's a fast food restaurant. They wanted drive-through.
Oh, they wanted you to put one in there?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. No, all we had to do was just build it. We would get paid to build it, and then they would rent it from us. And we didn't want to go down that road.
We don't want any more commercial space.
Because you don't
We have enough
need
here.
to go
Yeah.
for, it's not even a public process to put in a KFC.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of
You
like,
literally
and I know
just
I'm
draw
not
the
the one
site
that
plan and you
it's
go
backing
there.
onto, but that would have been way more disruptive, having a more commercial place there than, and I know I'm not one of the neighbors that backs onto, but just a nearby neighbor, I think that would have been more
We wouldn't have problems with the parking.
unpleasant in general to look at and to live with, right? So at least it's not a.
They did end up
restaurant or something.
opening on the new box stores over here.
Yeah.
We're not going to name them, but it is a lot of fried chicken, just different kind
Just to give you a prime example, the way we operate as well is that another project that we just did down the road, another one that's going up as well, is the same. They forced us on the commercial, and the only way to get around that is that we're happy to say that it's going to be our entire office space. So we don't want traffic. Traffic has always been something that I frown on. I don't like standing in it. I drive 2.5 hours every day now, Amber, because I had to move north because I couldn't close my house any quicker. But I saw what happens, and we try to mitigate that, and try to keep it as minimal as possible. As to why we're very strict with people coming in, you know, on the parking Nazi there at the condo site, I'm very terrible. You will not like me as a neighbor. Keep your car in the garage, keep it in the driveway. There are kids. We don't want people driving around when there's kids. Like I see a couple guys, some of the past tenants there, don't I knock on their door, I warn you once. Next time your car's going outside the scrapyard. I'm very strict with it, and I understand all your concerns. And if there is something we can help with, believe me, we'll work with you on that. Okay? Gentlemen, I forgot sorry, your name?
Who's?
You.
I swore we want to write it down.
No, I'm not your enemy, believe me. I'm here to, to help out and figure out what it is that you guys have an issue with, and we want to fix it.
I don't see how you're going to keep the water inside that area.
That's the part that frankly...
It's coming in my backyard. That's where I know it's coming.
Well, I'll tell you what, if anything comes in your backyard, I'll come and show it out myself.
Look, there was,
I can guarantee you it's not going to go back.
and you can speak to the residents that live behind us, that live behind the Fonthill Yards development. That was their concern. There were 3 neighbors to the north. Feel free to knock on their door and speak to them. They had a lot of flooding because it sloped back before we started. You can speak with them. I'm not going to speak for them.
I can be open-minded. I just watch water flow
They're going to tell you that
across
we have...
storm, and
what we did is we took out their fence, we fixed the grade.
and you can't cut the grass for half a year.
We fixed the grade.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that we're going to have curbing all the way around. I want you to picture this, okay? Picture a slab of pizza. You've got the thick crusting in the outside, and it's sloped on the inside. That's how it's going to be. It's that simple. We cannot legally drain water on anybody's property at all. So we had water issue on that other project. Sorry, Amber left. Amber could tell you. There was constant water from the backyards. So I lived there. I fixed my end. The new development started, water started kicking in. What did we do, Tony? Walked in, fixed it. There's neighbors that are walking down the street. Do you remember that puddle on the sidewalk?
Yeah. It's gone.
I made them fix it. Like, I mean, I stood there and I went to their door and I said, fix the damn thing. I sent pictures, I texted, like all the guys at the council, like I know part of the guys in engineering.
Winter, you won't see that.
Yeah.
We fixed, and we had no obligation because we were done. We had handed over.
That has nothing to do with us.
We're starting the condo now.
Right.
We're not even thinking about the townhomes. We went back, Mario brought his machines, went back, fixed, I showed up on site one day, I'm like, why are we tearing up a road? Fixed it.
Yeah.
Took care of the problem, and now it doesn't.
You know, it's not just because I live there, it's the fact that people are, we built something for people, we want them to be happy, and at the same time, last thing we need is a phone call saying, hey man, like what's going on here, and can you fix this damn thing, and my dog's walking in water, and my daughters or, kids are walking through that one sidewalk area, which was terrible. And I said, yeah, absolutely, and that had nothing to do with us. Everybody was blaming us for it, like, hang on a second. Manhole, somebody dug the driveway on the other side of the road and apparently cut off the culvert, and that's what they found.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us.
And what Mario doesn't tell you is I'm the one who does the insurance premiums and policies. The last thing I need is premiums and insurance claims coming in against us. Water or damage, slip and fall, whatever it is. That's
like I'm your full civil guy, excavation, site services, sewers, and the construct itself. But I start from the ground. I'm the guy that handles it. Tony handles all the stuff that I don't care to handle, which is usually politics and insurance payments. But when it comes to, again, water, comes to excavation, comes to noise, those are things that we have to take into consideration. We're going to be digging when there's 23 residents, and we have to watch that we don't upset the neighbors, so we have to gauge ourselves as well. So as soon as I get the first complaint, we jump on it. But we work within the guidelines from 7 to 5:30. And if we have to start a little bit later, we start later.
Okay. How low the building is going to go from the roof?
How low from the road?
Yes.
The building, okay, so this is interesting. There's gonna be, this slope here will generally be maintained. There's gonna be a little bit of a variation, okay? Give you some background on what the town wanted. They wanted us to put stairs here. The region said, you can't put stairs on our regional road widening. You can't do that. So there's not gonna be any disruption or any stairs here. This is the sidewalk. This is gonna be, we're gonna rip out the sidewalk, put in a new sidewalk, beautify it. Then we're gonna redo the boulevard here. They won't even let us plant anything here now because this is regional road. Can't plant anything. They don't like that. So now everything is gonna enter through the entrance lobby because they want the entrance lobby to have a visible presence out here. This is just the back and forth that happens because the region and the town sometimes don't talk to one another. So this will be a drop in the grade that won't really change all that much from what you see now. The building will start upon that top of that grade, where the grass grade, and then it'll slope this down towards highway. Like you'll have different sloping points and attachment points, whatever. It'll eventually make its way down to here.
Well, are the trucks and everything going to be able to come off Highway 20 into your property when you're building it? The cement trucks, cranes, or whatever?
Everything stays on site. We don't have a choice. They're not allowing us for lane closure. We're not even allowed to close that boulevard. We can't close the sidewalk.
You have to dig. You have to dig.
We're digging within the property limits. When it comes to the trucking, that's one thing I handle. We always start from the back end, of course, and come out this way here. So we'll do all the back end, we do all the services, we'll do all the pre-cuts before we dig any holes, so we take a little bit more dirt than we need to. That keeps the access for the trucks within the limits of the property. So it won't be you guys calling the town. It'll be the town calling and says, hey, you got too many trucks lined up on the road. So we have to find staging areas. We have to backfill. So we have to take dirt out. Like that's how every job site is today. Even moving dirt today with there's a new regulation called 406 reg. And I'd love for you guys to check it out. We have to actually monitor with computers now, laptops, where to and from, how fast they're going, and that tells us that the town can access this system and tell us if these guys are, if they're going where they're supposed to go. The dirt has to be regulated, it's got to be certified as well, it's got to be tested, and tracking it on the road, it'll be the biggest thing. It isn't going to be an easy dig, it's going to be a slow dig, but it will be everything on site.
Another question, is going to be precast?
Here? Good question. That is a good question.
Depends on the price of precast is. Once you get us a good deal.
What's the question?
If it's going to be precast, it won't be a wood building. It won't be that, I can assure you 100%. It'll be either cement, steel and cement, or steel and precast, yes. We're hoping to go precast because it's quick.
We've been dealing from noise now for the last 2 years for the buildings that are going up at Pelham Street and Highway 20. You guys are now right next door to us.
Good question.
If there's too much noise, and if it's within the limits of the...
If it's going to be too much noise, so you're going to stop it every time we complain?
No, but we do mitigate noise as well, as best as we can, but we cannot allow it. It's no different than you building a deck or digging out your pools and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be doing that for 2 years.
Okay.
You just now said it's going to be a long dig.
No, I'm not saying, long for me in the sense it'll be a slow dig because of the restrictions. But that one there probably might only take me, realistically,
Couldn't you have found a better lot where you wouldn't have all these problems?
what's that?
Couldn't you have found a better lot somewhere else where you wouldn't have all these problems?
Push it all.
Might have been that or McDonald's and Tim Hortons or something behind you, so it's always gonna be something.
There's, every lot is going to have.
It just seems a stupid little lot to try and squeeze that building into and have all the problems that you're going to have.
Every building's going to have problems.
Every building, it doesn't matter whether it's
How much water
24
do you
units, 124 units, 200 units. And if you think this is tight, Google 15 Cannon Street,
Why?
4 corners.
I'm not concerned with anybody
I'm
else.
just
I'm
saying-
concerned about our street. That's it.
It's there's always something somewhere,
The
regardless of
other, the
where.
other thing is the province wants intensification. They
Huge.
want, the province is big on that. And so this is why they have sewers, they have storm sewers, sanitary sewers. That's why they develop on these type of lots, so they can get the intensification, which the province wants.
Yeah, so the densification is part of the provincial policy, it's also part of the regional policy, it's also part of the town policy as well. That's why staff supported this application, and they're going to support it when it goes to council. As far, to answer your question about noise, yeah. Like, I don't know how to sugarcoat that. During construction, there will be noise. I'd love to tell you there's a new technology out that we'll do the best we can, but once the, like, so long as the building's open, there will be noise. When it's closed off, it will severely reduce the noise, because they're working within confined and closed off spaces for noise attenuation.
Assuming you get permission, assuming, what time frame from start to finish?
Here,
Can't answer.
14 to 16 months in total for finished
How
for
long?
asphalt. 14 to 16 months.
Yeah.
But the question is, for noise, excavation, foundation, and flooring. Within, I would say, 4 months, the structure will be up and closed. Then the noise reduces significantly.
I disagree, because I'm still hearing noise from the buildings at Highway 20 in Pelham. And they've been up now for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you can say all you want, but I'm sorry, I don't believe it.
You want to talk about noise? I live here. You want to talk about noise? Let's talk about the traffic coming on here and all these Harley Davidsons and trucks.
Oh, we know,
and
we know.
And stuff. We're actually going to help you in the long run. That's going to reduce the amount of noise you're going to get. You will get.
Yeah, in 2 to 3 years.
No, a year and a bit. Once that building structure goes up, you're going to see significant noise reduction. Guaranteed. No different than the one down the street. That's going to totally block all those towns and all those residents there. People are going to be a little bit happier. It is. It's a sound barrier. Now the guys in the condo unit are the ones who are going to get it, get it. Not as bad, because we have to put certain types of windows in here in order for them to reduce the noise.
And I had to do a noise study for that.
Yeah.
To see how noise from Highway 20 affects the residents living in the building, and how the noise from the building would affect the residences, would affect the general population. So noise emitted from the building was minimal. The one issue I had was noise created from increased traffic on Highway 20. So I really had to, we had to undertake to put in certain kind of windows for noise attenuation.
Noise, the structure, the sound barriers, all that stuff. We've had to add to the whole face of the structure of the building in order for the tenants or the owners that are going to be in there to make sure that they're going to be okay.
And the back.
I tell you, living on that corner, 2 o'clock in the morning, 10 Harleys going by ripping, you can close the windows, I can put the blinds down, I could have stuck insulation on that wall, it's like it resonates right through. So I totally get it.
Yes, sir.
Your units are individually owned.
Individual type.
Correct. Is there any provision to prevent them from sublet or put on internet?
Is there a provision for them to be sublet or put on the internet for rentals? That's a loaded question. So it would be a condominium corporation. If it's a condominium corporation, then the bylaws of the condominium would dictate what you can and can't do with the individual units. At any point, the board can say, well, when we write the bylaws, we say absolutely, categorically, which we did for the townhomes, no Airbnbs, no short-term rentals. We don't want that. That's off the table. You begin to run into some legal problems when you say absolutely no rentals. You're not allowed to rent this. Okay, because the general real estate, like the real estate law, the statutes here want to increase what they call alienability of land, meaning you want to be able to provide units for people to live in. So if you say you're not allowed to rent this, then it's almost like you're taking away units from a very short, very small rental supply market. So you run into this kind of catch-22. But I am, but I am entitled, and we will, and we did that for the townhomes, where we said no Airbnbs,
No VRBOs, none of that stuff is allowed.
Even that the condo declarations will specify the same language as we did in the townhomes. You can't hang your laundry off you know, there's no balconies hopefully. You can't hang your laundry off a balcony. You can't leave anything on the exterior. You can't modify anything on the building. You can't leave structures like a stand-up paddle boat in the parking lot. So you're really authoritative in what you can and can't do on the building, within the confines of the building if you're a resident. Yes?
Yeah, I just want to say, I can't speak for the people on Kinsman Court, I live there. Something would be built on that land. It nearly was several years ago, we had some concern. Then it was abandoned. Something's going to be built there, and we're going to have to accept the fact that there's going to be noise during the construction. And we take your word, at least I do, that you'll try to mitigate that as much as you can, and do it as quickly as you can. If the things we were concerned about, if they've been answered, or we have the right to talk to the town about maybe doing something else, we'll do that. But we want to be good neighbors, and we hope you will want to be good neighbors too. And we really appreciate the fact that, for the most part, the comments and questions have not been difficult, have not been full of venom and so forth, because we decided as Kinsman Court, I think, that we were going to come and ask you reasonable questions. And we appreciate that. And I appreciate what you've done, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to clarify, there is an existing site plan on there.
There is an
existing site plan. Approved an existing site plan on that property. It hasn't necessarily been abandoned. We just want to build something that's more functional. And you can review the site plan. It's at the town. It's for public consumption. It contemplates underground, shoring straight to and after. Like basically, you're shoring up to here. So you're digging an open hole and shoring that for the 14 months to account for the underground parking. Garbage for all the, and there's commercial in there, in the existing site plan.
Yeah.
There's 3 commercial units. Garbage would all of it would be on Highway 20. So every week there is no provision for garbage. So it would be regional waste. You have X amount, 20 black bins, well 20 times 2 because you're allowed to put up 2 every 2 weeks now. 20 green bins, 20, 20, 20. And on windy days it floats around. And that is approved. We didn't apply for that, we bought the land that way. We have the engineering drawings to go in for building permit to build it that way. We just don't want to build it that way for aesthetic reasons. It's an unsightly building. And 2, it's a costly building, it's very expensive to build. And 3, the shoring for the garbage.
So what we've tried to do is make it better. We did have to increase the units, and by doing that, we shortened the excavation, shortened the construction timing, okay, and made the building a heck of a lot nicer and removed commercial. Because that is one thing that I really didn't, Tony and I totally didn't want. It's another more commercial space when we found a lot of vacancies in the area already. So we kind of like the fact that everything's on that side of the road. You know, myself as a homeowner as well, I like everything on one side. Commercials typically like that. And there's a lot more development going in behind all those residentials as well.
And the town thought us on that. They wanted to keep the commercial.
If I could just add to what Bill said, thank you for that. I looked at this very closely, and I think, number one, we're there to protect our investments. That's number one thing we're there to do. But I think if you look at all the scenarios or potential scenarios, a residential is by far the best for us. Even though there's 21 units, there could be commercial. 21? 24, sorry, thanks. Anyhow, 24 units, it's a lot better than what could be there. And if you look at the zoning bylaw and the permitted uses, like, I wouldn't want to conduct fried chicken blowing chicken wings, Popeyes, whoever. And you take residential, and this residential is geared towards professionals or retirees, where you can't get better neighbors. I think most of us can say as retirees. And like I said, go through the list in the zoning bylaw and see what could be there. And my fear, and when you look on Google Earth, and you look where this property is and what's beside it, could easily, if these guys just sold the property, it could be easily purchased by the neighbor and a worse commercial could be put on there. So for what's going on here is not very restrictive to the residential right behind us, but commercial would be a major problem. So it's not, a vacant lot would be what we really want, but we understand that's never going to happen. So I think this, out of all the scenarios, and if you talk to the planners at the office, and you talk to anyone in the business, they will tell you probably one of the better situations is this. Anyhow, that's what you think.
I wish they would have thought of that down the road where we could remove our commercials there. They really pressed us.
They weren't having that.
They weren't having, I fought it.
And that's part of the, thank you for that comment. Just to clarify on that, that's part of the regional policy now to encourage commercial residential within the same development to increase densification.
And that's just one more thing. I don't think the region asked for a traffic study for this.
No, the region did not request a
And
traffic
if
study.
they did,
We'll have to provide a traffic study.
no, they haven't, but if they
Right.
did, the concern would be that the region would say, take the traffic out the back.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I don't want that to happen.
No,
But they
we don't,
haven't
we don't
asked,
want it to happen, and this
this
is not happening, so we're lucky that they're doing this and the region hasn't asked for it. You're right, we don't want that traffic, but the region,
Not yet.
we have two other places in the municipality where the region actually said that. You have to bring the traffic the other way. So we're pretty lucky in this sense, so, and I mean, the region didn't ask for it, so they're kind of on their way here, and it's to our benefit. And I mean, the documentation's in the municipal office, anybody can look at it. So it is really to our benefit to keep traffic out there. I mean, I'd sooner have a garbage truck come once a week or twice a week or whatever than all kinds of traffic going through there.
It'll
And
be
that's,
twice a month.
even twice, give me once a week, I don't have a problem with that, because I'd sooner have garbage picked up and less smell than, than traffic. But anyhow, it's a worst case scenario, and I think everybody needs to really look at it, and, you know, there's lots of information out there what could happen there. Yeah.
Is the road going to be widened prior to the construction?
No.
No, it's in the works to be.
I mean, because right now on a red light, traffic is backed up down to Sobeys.
I would
So
like to
how are
see-
you guys going to get your trucks and
I would
stuff?
like to see the fruit of my labor. If I'm going to give them a road, I'd like them to widen it.
Yeah.
They just took it.
And see, that's another concern. If they put traffic through there, people would cut through there like crazy. And that would be really bad for all of our investment
where?
in Kingston Court. That's not what they're doing here, so we're really fortunate. And in many ways, you not think it's fortunate, it's very fortunate.
We'll be taking the brunt of the traffic issues and stuff that's gonna happen, because we're right there. And there's gonna be another development that's happening on Highway 20 at Station Street, same thing. There's gonna be a lane reduction there for temporary purposes, right, for construction, because they really pretty much given us minimal limits to be able to do anything. So, once they're done, like I said to you, I know when I've spoken to the region, in the next couple of years or so, don't be surprised, they're gonna be ripping up a whole section of
Well,
Highway 20.
I know that's going to happen. I mean, that's obvious. All the Highway 20 all the way down needs a center turn line, a lane, and it needs to be wide. We know that's going to happen, but I just see you guys having a really hard time getting your vehicles in a single lane at the way it is right now.
Yeah.
You'd be
Traffic is
surprised
horrendous.
how many places we shoot horn trucks.
We had a crash a couple of weeks ago, and that Highway 20 was blocked up.
was
I couldn't
there.
even see how far back the traffic went.
Happened right in front of me, a lady on a motorcycle, I saw it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was right there, we're at the ice cream parlor.
So are you saying during construction that at no point in time, dump trucks taking away fill will be routed along Kinsman Court, because trying to cross Highway 20, especially late afternoon, can you tell us, with some guarantee, that there will be no change during construction, rerouting trucks, dump trucks along Kinsman and out that way because of the heavy traffic on 20?
Okay. So,
The answer is no, guarantee you. And there's many reasons why. Bylaws trump us even if I wanted to try it. So the good thing is, you're talking to the guy who's gonna dig that hole. I can assure you, the last thing I need is for a truck to go all the way around, through here, through the subdivision, breaking laws, because let's say it, I'll tell you straight up, I was a driver for the longest time, they're not the smartest people around. So we minimize the amount of issues that we need, because I'm gonna take these hits, me personally. You know, you call, I get the call. City guy goes by, town goes by, I get the call. Bylaw go by, he sees trucks in the back route, I get it.
Damage to your road?
Damage to the road. It all comes on me, so yes, it's gonna stay on Highway 20 for multiple reasons. And don't take this personally, for my benefit, they're gonna stay on Highway 20.
Yes.
Can I ask what kind of fence you're going to put in the back?
We have a design for it. It'll be a wooden fence.
Not
It's-
chain link?
No. It's gotta be, like I said earlier, it's for lights, cars, and all that stuff. They make sure it doesn't penetrate.
It's gotta be 6 feet. You guys think we can get away with 8? We're happy to put 8.
Maybe 12.
Well, we'll put however tall, but I'm pretty sure we get a call the next day.
I think 6 is your max, I think, for a bylaw. It's gotta be private toll cuts.
Because we tried it with the residents, they wanted higher, we said, put higher. and they touched it.
Get on Station Street, they said no, we want it open. And I believe me, as a homeowner, I would have liked it closed.
As far as lighting off your building, is it possible that the lighting could go against the property on Kinsman Court and shoot towards your building? Because we really don't want the lighting shooting towards Kinsman Court.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or to go down, because it doesn't matter, if you put it on the building, somebody's going to adjust it down the road and we'll get it. So if it could be shooting the other way.
So what happens is they got a design for it, so if you look at your pole like this, the lighting always goes this way.
Yeah.
So it's how they aim it, so we actually have a lighting plan, that goes in and it gets approved. And last thing we want is you guys calling us, and I'm sure if the guy doesn't do it right, we'll get the phone call, and it does get.
That's great that your lighting plan, but once they put it on the building, we prefer not to. We don't want it on the building. We want it on the back of the lot, shining towards the building, because it will get adjusted down the road after you guys are gone.
We're not contemplating lighting on the building.
No.
Okay,
We're not
good, that's what
contemplating
I'm asking.
projectors or,
No.
because that would completely, a photometric plan, which is, so when we submit for building permit, we're gonna have to submit with a photometrics plan.
Yes.
The photometrics plan has these little ones and zeros, I think, on them, and just the more ones there are, the more light, it's called light pollution, the more light pollution it's throwing. So, under the bylaws, we cannot throw any light pollution outside our property.
Everything stays within the 4 points of the property, the perimeter, has to collect the water, nothing, no different. Parking, curbing, everything protects, the interior part of the park.
I think the tolerance is 0. It's 0 tolerance for light pollution. Which is, actually, if you drive by the development on Fonthill, the lights are they barely light up. It's so dim because of these 0 tolerance requirements. Those bright string lights, you don't get them in subdivisions anymore. Yes.
I'd like to echo Mike and Bill's comments about your approach with this, having this meeting, so on. Bill says we all realize something's going to happen with that lot. Mike says this is the lesser of a lot of other evils. What we're mainly concerned with here, I'm sure you're getting this, is our quality of life on Kinsman Court. We don't really want that to change, either through parking, whatever it may be, foot traffic, whatever. Okay, that's our main concern. So, and I think you folks have addressed that. Hopefully, going forward, we'll address it more. We'll get down to specifics and so on. At the present, just so you know, we are going to have a meeting, a residents meeting, following immediately this meeting, and we're going to have to set on some sort of plan of action. How that falls out is going to depend very, very much on the relationship we develop with you folks, which is natural. You wouldn't expect anything else, and so on. So just so you know where we are with this, we have no perceived preconditions. We just want to maintain our quality of life, and if we can work together, obviously we all want to do that, because we all want essentially the same thing. So just so you know where we're going with this and so on, and appreciate this meeting. Possibly we may ask for another meeting with you, things of this nature and so on. I appreciate so far what's
transpired. I think everyone.
Just to touch base on what you were saying, like, a lot of the design that Tony has taken let's call it the stick on this to move it forward, everything that was pushed forward. Parking has to go somewhere. The last thing you want to see is the building back here and parking up front. So we moved as far as we could, we minimized the envelope of the building, and that'll give you less of a view of the building. And if you really think about it, if you put yourself in a position down the road and maybe find a building that's going to be similar to where you live, take a look at it. If there's something that we can change, please bring it up to us. Like, again, balconies, I prefer not to put balconies for a million reasons, okay? But we're asked to put them up.
Why would the town want balconies in the back? Why are they forcing you to do stuff?
For the same
that-
reason
Yeah.
I don't know.
To
I
infringe on.
couldn't tell you.
I'm on camera right now, so I have to be very careful. State my opinion.
No, I don't think,
No, the back.
the back.
The front, I don't know if you object to this one, I think about. These have balconies. We'd like to keep this one. And we'd like to keep, yeah, sorry, this one.
So here in this back corner,
Yeah, just the front corners and these.
these are, these ones here, they're, what do they call them, Tony? The Juliets.
Juliet's. This one's a Juliet. They want to give you the illusion of a balcony on this one, which would be this part right here. But we're actually not allowed to overhang on regional, the road that we gave. Now, we gave to them, we can't overhang balconies. But these, no problem. If there's space to work, as far as I'm concerned, I know there are a multitude of issues. The way I've compartmentalized it is balconies, access, how do we put up a fence here? And we'd like to be partners with the residents in that, provided you're not writing the town saying, they've obstructed access here, we're more than happy to obstruct access here by putting a gate. This is a utilities easement. It's not a walkway, and they have to understand that. That said, if the town needs to access it to carry out any work on this utilities easement, they will access it. They will rip out whatever they need to rip out and come through here to.
Is this something that all the residents on Kinsman want access coming through?
No.
Or you just rather block it 100%?
Block it right off. Block it right off.
The town won't let it block out. They want the walk.
I mean, I'll tell you what we can do.
But we don't want the parking, like, how do
The
we
worst case
stop it?
scenario is they just don't say anything. We're more than happy to do that. We can just put a fence in.
So, Mario,
I don't get it.
10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the town was gung-ho on having pedestrian pathways throughout the town. Okay, there's all sorts of them in existence
We
now.
have one other development.
They
Yeah, we have
wanted
to-
that. When Ray Taylor was negotiating on this property, they told him they needed a 3-meter easement that he basically had to give the town. Okay, that's the last we heard about it, that was the drill, and they were going to make a pathway with it. They wanted it wide enough that one of the little snowplow guys could go down and push the snow to the side, so you can walk. It was going to be 3 meters wide. Where that is at this stage, Mike may know.
They always encourage walking, there's no doubt about it. They have a plan to definitely have paths for it. But anyhow, one thing, I know they're going to meet as a group, and I definitely don't want to be the spokesman, but I wonder if it'd be better if they had one spokesman from the group that could go to you with concerns of the group they want, instead of everybody.
We'll give you our cell numbers.
I mean, one of these two gentlemen who spoke may be a good one, and then that way the group can focus on what they want, possibly would like you to deal with. One person deals with you, and then that way you have it from the group. And I wonder if that would work out best for both sides. And then each individual don't feel they have to, contact you would be.
No problem.
I think that would be.
So we'll clarify quickly, Tony will handle anything having to do with design, the bills, the access is there. I'm gonna leave that with Tony. On the construction end, guys, please, I'll give you my phone number anytime you wanna call me. If there's issues, I'd be happy to handle it.
So Mike, you work at the city, correct?
That's correct.
Has the city even contemplated what they're going to do with the snow in the winter? You had
Two.
The
Etna,
Two mountains.
back there this year, and if I'm at the end and I'm losing my parking spot to a to a mound of snow, I'm not happy.
Are you talking on Kinsman Court?
Yeah, right where the
It's
garbage is
huge.
gonna go.
Like
I realize,
literally,
I don't work for the roads department,
I hear you, but
But
they
however-
have to give some
Yeah.
consideration.
Yeah.
and
What they're gonna
that's a
do.
great point, but you need to possibly talk to the engineering or talk to your elected officials and said, you know, like other cul-de-sacs in the town, we would like our snow removed too.
Every time.
Well, no, but sometimes it's
you're
not,
taking away
sometimes it's
where
not a
the-
bad idea to have that snow there, it stops parking too. So,
Yeah, but you're not gonna get into
You're
this
not gonna
lane.
get it now. There's no
You won't
space
get
for
in to
this.
get the
Walkway.
garbage.
I realize, and the town realizes that, I'm sure, and they will probably.
So they're gonna put it on.
It's gonna end up next to the mill?
No, they'll probably truck it away.
No, it'll
like
end
they
up
do-
next to the mailboxes.
They probably truck it away like they do in
They'll,
many other.
they'll push it down the other end, it'll end up next to the
So it'll
mailboxes.
end up on my lot.
No, I don't think they would do that.
I
I
can
don't
tell
think
you
they'll do
this,
that.
Where else could they put it?
I can assure
Not
you
hear what I
this year.
said? They'll probably truck it away, like they do in other cul-de-sacs in the town. That's what they do.
Well, they did truck it away last
Yeah,
winter.
They haven't trucked it away in several years,
If you
but they're
notice
gonna
who
have
had
to
the
now.
largest
Yeah.
issue in your subdivision last year? It's not the cul-de-sacs. Short Hills. They didn't plow it for 5 days. I actually called because my daughter's friend's down there, and they did not plow. I have a 4x4, I've got the big truck, I got the big wheels, I got stuck. And then I made a few phone calls and to the town, I said, anybody coming?
You brought your construction machines in.
I brought my equipment and made
Street
pathways.
Going into our.
And I actually did the sweeps on both sides.
Plowed public streets.
Yeah, I actually did, and I'm not supposed to, but I did what I did for people.
I've only lived here for 10 years, but I can assure you this past winter, I had the biggest hills. You could take the hills from the previous 9, and they did not even.
It was an exceptional year for
hills.
snow,
It's
yes.
the hills on my property.
We all had a ton of, I had so many issues in our development, and my guy who was plowing, he was no different. I had to come in and I brought the loaders in, and that's what I ended up doing. You know, not everybody has the mindset of knowing where to put snow in the proper place, unfortunately. You get the common guys that just go in, they just told to push, and they push and just leave it. You know, and when you have the excessive snow that we've had this year, which was pretty much the first time in how many years,
Could be the
guys?
new norm.
Yeah, it was not normal.
It could be the new norm.
It could be, it could be. We're hoping that it won't. I love snow, but I like sun a lot better to eat.
To put it in context, before you would plan for the 100-year storm, now it's a 200-year storm.
Now it's a 200-year storm. So it's actually gotten
Civil
softer over the
engineering
year.
guidelines.
We just had a harsh year. Like, we had rain for the past 2 years. I couldn't build, I could not put sewer pipe in. And when I had the water level above, you know, right at the top of my pipes after I laid them in, that wasn't fun for us. So we are having unprecedented weather conditions. And we just deal with it as we go along. As to why storms, storm scepters, ponding on site, things have changed in the construction industry. And developers are forced to put more effort, more time, more design into doing this because they can't take the amount of outfall of water into their storm systems. So everything has to be on site.
So what he means by that is, before, when we would submit something in the civil drawings, we'd have to account in the civil drawings for the 100-year storm. That one storm that comes every 100 years that would just wreck everything. So our capacity has to be able to withstand that. Now the new guidelines is they want a 200-year storm. That storm that comes every 200 years, that's even more torrential than the 100-year storm. And so whatever your views are on climate change, I get it, but things are changing. And so the scope of what we plan for as far as storms and weather conditions have to change as well.
The folks going down to the Lions Club for the meeting, there's a lot of parking problems down there, not problems, but the ball hockey's on, slow pitch, so you might want to double up on your cars, so on, leave one of your cars here or something like that. There's parking, but it's tight. It's okay.
Somebody want to take my email address? Phone number?
Good, how are you?